Welcome back to another Q&A video. As always, the questions are fantastic. And if you got more, leave them down below. So with that said, let's get started. Can you build a solid physique by training at home with 45-pound dumbbells? Okay, I would say it's doable, but you're going to need to get creative. In particular, you will need to use exercise variations that are so difficult that 45 pounds feels rather heavy. Or you're going to have to make your volume so high that you don't need more than 45 pounds. For instance, if you're resting 15 to 30 seconds between each set, obviously the weight that you're going to use is going to be a lot less, okay? On top of that, certain movements, such as like the incline dumbbell curl, for instance, is much more difficult than a regular curl. So the weight you're going to use is going to be a lot less. Same thing when we talk about shoulder pressing. If you do a Z press, sitting down on the floor, one arm with 45 pounds in your hand, and you do something like 5 sets of 20, okay? With just 45 pounds. You can get a lot out of that, okay? Now you can actually take the 45 pounder to the next level by incorporating that with calisthenics. You can actually strap that to your waist, and now you can do weighted dips. You could do weighted pull-ups. 45 pounds here. And again, if you're doing high volume, that's going to be more than enough. Imagine you're doing 10 sets of 10 weighted pull-up with 45-pound dumbbell hanging down your waist. Or same thing for the dips. The dips might be easier there, but for the pull-ups, you can make a lot out of it, right? Same thing for like pinch lifts, grip exercises, wrist curls. You don't need to go stupid heavy. And with 45 pounds, although it is restrictive, and I would not train like this personally, if you get creative enough and you find out ways of making your training more intense, volume, and more difficult exercises, I think you can get a lot out of it. But you will be restricted in some respects. So I would definitely recommend that you incorporate some calisthenics to go with this. Try to mix calisthenics with the 45-pound dumbbell, and I think you'll benefit the most from this. So with that said, next question. What do you suggest if I cannot completely rep 135 on Pendlay Rows? If I use 25s, the bar is too low. I understand. What you have to do in that case is pull off blocks. That's all you have to do. So if you have aerobic steps in your gym, the ones they use for plyometrics, simply do your Pendlay Rows with the 25 pounders off that position. Because now it's going to be similar range of motion to the standard 45-pound plates. Because when you're doing 135 or more, the diameter of the 45-pound plates is larger, therefore range of motion is decreased. And that's also why deadlifts is not a full range of motion exercise, because the plates set the range of motion, okay? It's not your anthropometry, so think about that. But yeah, in your case, if you can't do it with 25s because it's too much, just pull off blocks. Do Pendlay Row dead stop, 4-inch blocks, 4 to 6-inch blocks, you're good to go. So yeah, next question. I want to try fasting some days for health reasons, yet I want to be big too. Would and could you ever use fasting and keep muscle? I'm talking about a 5-day normal food and 2 days low or no calories. Thanks, man. Okay, well, first of all, it sounds to me like you're wanting to recomp. You're saying that you want to do like 5 days where you're eating a lot of food and then 2 days where it's a lot less. Well, in that case, you don't have to fast to do that necessarily. You can just do more cardio on those off days, or you could just, I don't know, decrease your food intake a little bit. But to answer your question, fasting is fine. I don't have a problem with it. The only thing is, it does suppress your appetite. When you fast for long periods of time, you don't really get as hungry anymore, right? So at the end of the day, you might have to stuff in a large amount of food, but you just don't have the appetite to do it. Like I know for myself, I cannot bulk while fasting. It's impossible. Because for me, I got to eat over 4,000 calories just to gain weight. I'm having trouble right now, you know? So fasting for bulking, it's certainly doable if you have the appetite to pull it off, but I would say it's more difficult. Now for cutting, fasting is the best fucking thing. It is absolutely phenomenal. And if I were trying to get shredded, I would absolutely fast. I would do black coffee throughout the day with a lot of water. And then at nighttime, I would have a shitload of vegetables and fruits with some clean meals. Maybe 1 to 2 big meals. That's it. And then boom, watch me get shredded right before your very eyes. That's what I would do if I was trying to get lean. And in terms of preserving muscle mass, just make sure your protein intake is high enough. You know, make sure your programming is on point in the gym. You shouldn't have any problems. But I don't think fasting is an issue. It's just, it becomes a problem for maintaining size when you're unable to get the calories, when you just don't have the appetite to eat. But provided that everything is on point, you're going to be good. Oh yeah, and by the way, because you're interested in recomping, watch my nutrition playlist. I have a lot of videos that cover that. So next question. Hi Alex, my gym only has a hyperextension machine, not reverse hypers. Is this a good alternative? It's fine. It's going to build the muscles in a similar way, but they're not the same exercise, okay? They're very different. When you do a reverse hyper, you're tractioning the spine, like you're rotating the sacrum, you know? It's very, very different. It's a restoration and strength building simultaneously, and it can actually cure herniated discs in many cases. The hyperextension, if you already have a bad case of anterior pelvic tilt, might make it worse. If you have a lot of lower back pain, it might not agree with you necessarily. I know the reverse hypers tends to work for the majority of the population, even guys who fucked up their backs. So it's different. It's apples and oranges. If I were to pick one, I would pick the reverse hyper. But in your case, you say you don't have a reverse hyper, then just use the regular machine. But it's not the same thing whatsoever. When you do the reverse hypers, you really, really feel your hamstrings and glutes. And the lower back, it just feels like it's decompressing, because that's what it's doing. It's decompressing your spine. And when you get off it, you feel stronger, but like tired at the same time, because it's draining. But reverse hyper is probably my favorite accessory lift for the posterior chain. You know, hypers are definitely up there. I do them a lot as well, but it cannot top the reverse hyper in my opinion. So that's that. Next question. High bar or low bar squat for athleticism and spine and knee health? Okay, spine and knee health. Let's talk about that first. I think high bar is better because low bar, a lot of guys, they do a good morning squat. Their body is bent really, really forward. So that in itself might be a bit more posterior chain, you know, and it could put more pressure on the lower back. Let's just be honest here. When your body is bent forward in this position, there is a greater moment arm, and you have a greater chance of messing up your lower back. I know there are some tall squatters who use a low bar squat position, and some of them actually did mess up the low backs, you know. I think it's more common to see a back injury from a low bar squat than a high bar squat. Just my opinion, you know. So I prefer the high bar squat for back pain, and then also knee pain. When you do a low bar, many times you're not really deep, you know. Because it allows you to sit back and use certain leverages, you don't have to go as deep. And partials on squats, when you're not using pins, tends to aggravate the knees. And even though you might not be doing a partial, the fact that it's just a little bit below parallel or directly at parallel might be more stress than if you were to just do high bar ass to grass. Like for me, when I do high bar ass to grass, I never, ever, ever get knee pain. Never. But if I do a low bar squat, like if with enough training, maybe, I know this has happened to me in the past with minimalist programs, the knees tend to get aggravated. I used to roll them out with the steel barbell. So I would say there is a greater chance in a low bar. And as far as athleticism goes, very debatable. You have guys on both ends of the spectrum. You got guys like Mark Ripto saying you should do low bar. You got guys like Glenn Pendlay saying that you should do high bar. Then you got the different strength coaches advocating different things. For me, like, I don't know, man. I generally recommend high bar. I think high bar is the way to go for most purposes. But again, there's arguments on both cases. I recommend you do your own research. So yeah, next question. Hi, my neck is stiff most of the day and I have a lot of cracks and pops. Do you think direct neck work will benefit me? If so, why? I think it will absolutely benefit you. In fact, many guys who ran my naturally enhanced program, they used to have neck pain in the past, but now it's gone. In fact, one guy on the testimonial, he was an exact case of this. He had terrible headaches and pains, and then when he started doing the neck training and all that yoke stuff, it went away. And actually, I was a guy like this too. Ever since I was a kid, I used to strain one side of my neck. I remember the first time it happened, I was on a slide at a swimming pool, and I came out, I was like this for a few days. So it was always my right side of my neck, I would always sprain it, and I'd be like this. And sometimes when I would do high rep squats, my neck would get really stiff and it would hurt, you know, and then I'd have trouble moving it and stuff. I would get a lot of zingers, okay? And I found that when I started training my neck, the strains went away. It legit went away. I never got a neck pain ever again. I just felt fantastic. It's when I get lazy on the neck training that my neck starts hurting. So I definitely found with experience that people who train their necks tend to have less pain in the area, you know? That's just one of the observations I've made. So I say give it a shot, but again, I'm not a medical professional. Why am I getting lightheaded when I do bracing my core? Feels like I'm gonna pass out. Okay, that's because you're breathing too much into your chest. You see, you need to bring it lower, bring the breath lower, fill your belly with air, not just your throat. That's the problem, okay? On top of that, you're probably not breathing at all during your sets, okay? See, when you use the Valsalva maneuver, you have to reset it every rep. So let's say you do a squat, right? And you just come out. Well, first of all, you Valsalva, squat, right? And then at the top, you can breathe again. Then you do another breath, and you do it again. Some guys, they do like one big breath for the whole lift. I pretty much do that on bench press, you know? But for like big full body movements like squats and things of that nature, it might be better to reset your breath. So it's possible that you're not resetting your breath or you're bringing the breath too high. Like when you do the Valsalva, you should feel your belly filling up with air and your abs like being compressed tight, okay? So that's probably the mistake that you're making. Next question. Is it necessary to do leg press and leg extensions to build big legs because I'm having knee pain? Is it my form or is it just the exercise? and sometimes even reverse hypers. Can you give me a solution? Thanks, man. Yeah, you don't need to do leg extensions or leg press to build big legs. In fact, you can get huge legs with just one exercise, the barbell back squat. Now, I'm not a fan of minimalist training, but I will say that if you build your squat to a strong enough number, you're going to get huge legs. This is just something that I've observed time and time again. Guys who have a strong squat get huge fucking legs. And I found this to be true based off my experience as well. When I was doing a lot of squats, my legs got massive. So I think you don't need to do any leg press or leg extension, you know? You can just do barbell back squats and all its variations, and you'll be good to go. And in many cases, you'll experience less knee pain on the squat compared to these machines. Leg extensions, I can't do that shit. It fucks up my knees. And on top of that, we have a quad dominant epidemic. Why would you make it worse? So you can ditch your leg extensions. Leg press, you don't need it. You actually don't need it. Some guys benefit from that movement if they don't want a barbell back squat, but you can just do squats instead. If you just do squats, you're going to be fine, honestly. You don't have to do leg extension, leg press. Those are optional exercises. A lot of the old school lifters, they didn't even do leg press. Actually, some of them did. They would lie down on their back and they would press objects. But you don't have to leg press or leg extension to build huge quads or just huge legs in general. Just squat. Get a bar on your fucking back, squat. You're gonna get big legs. 9 out of 10 times, you're gonna get huge legs from squats, okay? So don't worry about it. And as far as knee pain on the reverse hypers, it's probably because you're locking your knees. Your knees are completely locked and you're just kicking back. Bend your knees a little bit, right? And try to load the hamstrings. That will correct the problem. Yo, Alex, are power shrugs and direct neck work enough to build a great yoke, or are rows and pulls a must do? If you just did neck work and power shrugs, you'd probably get more yoked. Why would it not? The power shrug will build your traps, and then the neck training will build your neck. So that will make you look more impressive. What it might not do is maximize your upper back development though. So from the back, you're not gonna have that mountainous appearance. From the side, you're not gonna look too big in a sense. But in terms of like getting the neck and trap area taken care of, power shrugs and direct neck work are more than enough. You don't have to rack pull to build that area necessarily. And the only thing I'd really be concerned about is the upper back. I think you should be incorporating a type of row. And I would say, yeah, you're probably going to have a lagging back if you're not doing at least one type of heavy pull, whether it's a rack pull or a deadlift or anything, or like a row. So pick one. Pick a heavy pull or pick a row. But I think you're definitely missing out on the upper back if you're not going to be including that. And why not just do it? It takes 5 seconds to do. Don't just focus on the power shrug and the neck curl, because then your upper back's going to lag. Just saying. So yeah, next question. Can I do cheating style while training and use bands while I'm still a novice and not making any linear gains? Love naturally enhanced, by the way. Well, thank you for your support. I'm glad you enjoyed the system. But to answer your question, I don't recommend cheating as a novice lifter. I just don't. Because you don't need it. You can make perfectly good gains with perfect form. In fact, you can get perfectly good gains for many years. Okay? I only started cheating on my rows once my back plateaued from the regular shit. I was already strict rowing 275 to 315 for reps before I ever started cheating. I'd already maxed out the dumbbell stack with perfect fucking form before I started cheating on the rows. So you don't have to cheat. What I would say is rotate the exercises. So if you plateau on the barbell row, move on to a Pendlay row. And keep everything strict for now as a novice. When you become more like late, intermediate, advanced, then you could start incorporating some of these cheat reps. It's more of an advanced technique. Again, I don't recommend this for noobs. You just don't need it. If you just do the regular shit and you get stronger over time, your back's going to get bigger. You don't have to cheat. So I would not recommend it. Now, as far as bands go, yes, you can use bands as a novice. It's optional, but it definitely works. I would say it's much better, for example, to do dynamic effort training with bands over no bands. Now, as a novice, you're not going to be able to use a lot of tensions. So I would say limit yourself to the micro mini bands and the mini bands. Don't go past those 2 tensions for dynamic effort. And then for max effort, go from micro, mini, and monster mini. You don't have to dwell with the lights right now, okay? Or just like 40-pound a chain, not 80-pound a chain. And with that said, you should be perfectly good as a novice lifter. Next question. My dad is dead set on the idea that heavy deadlifts will reduce spinal cartilage in the long run from the compression and give you a bad back later in life. Is this an issue for long-term lifters can face, assuming perfect form is done? I would say there's a huge risk of this. In fact, we're seeing many powerlifters right now who are just 25 years old. Some of them are drug-free, by the way, who have messed up backs. In fact, powerlifting has very high injury rates for the lower back. It's just something that you have to deal with when you're lifting those elite numbers. But that's the thing. Elite numbers. right? Or getting very, very strong or pushing yourself to the extreme limit. As a recreational lifter, if you don't go too crazy with it, then I don't see why you'll get injured. Of course, there is a greater risk when you're doing deadlifts compared to things like rack pulls, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to happen, especially if you're lifting like sub-maximal weights. Although that could happen too because of form breakdown, and form breakdown will lead to injuries. So is it guaranteed if you have a history of back problems, or just is it guaranteed period if you're doing deadlifts? I would say no. Guys like Jack LaLanne, he credited the deadlift to his longevity. There's lots of guys right now who are like 60, 70 years old. They still do deadlifts. So if you do it correctly with perfect form and you don't overreach all the time and you run a properly written strength training program, I would say you could be safe from it. Is it guaranteed? I would say no. I would say the risk of injury is still very high. Like, you really got to know what you're doing, because we see experienced lifters fucking up the lower back. Some of them running excellent programs. But if you do it right, I think you can prolong your longevity. I know guys like Matt Wenning never had an injury. Okay, he runs a conjugate system. Okay, and he's always rotating exercises. So guys like that are going to be more injuries free, right? So are people who do a lot of block pulls. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to fuck up your back doing deadlifts. There is a risk. It could happen, but it's not guaranteed. But if your dad's really worried about it, or if you're worried about it, then I would say don't even deadlift. You don't have to. Just do rack pulls, block pulls, or just drop the pulls altogether. Just do barbell rows or weighted chin-ups. You don't have to do deadlifts to build a good back or just build a good physique. It is not required. So if you don't want to do it, be my guest. Next question. Hey Alex, what do you think about gymnastic rings? Is it sufficient following a gymnastic ring-oriented program, supplemented with barbell squats and deadlifts for both strength and muscle gains? Thank you. That is a very good substitute. In fact, in mid-2017, I was doing what was called Yoke Gymnastics. It primarily included calisthenics and gymnastics training. And then for my yoke, I would do like heavy rack pulls and rows and stuff like that. And I got great gains doing that. I was looking extremely aesthetic and looking really fucking good. Just go on my Instagram. You'll see what I look like during that time frame. I weigh between 176 and 177, sometimes 181. But I look fucking good, man. And that's what I was doing. And the gymnastic rings, like, I'll definitely be returning to them because they're fantastic. So if you want to use them, be my guest. Next question. I have a very high libido and masturbate / have sex very frequently. I hear it lowers test levels, so will this negatively impact my muscle gains? All right, that study that people keep referencing, where if you don't jack off for a week or whatever, your test levels raise, it's nonsense, because fluctuations don't have an effect on your peak levels. In fact, your test levels fluctuate throughout the entire day. That's why someone who's on TRT will make better gains than a natural, because their test levels throughout the day are going to be higher. They're peaked because you're injecting it directly. Whereas in a real natural, it's doing this throughout the entire day. So little fluctuations are not important in the grand scheme of things, right? And just because you don't jack off for a week, you get a little spike, doesn't mean shit all. You'll find that after time, it's baseline again. You're not going to get a permanent increase. You're not going to raise 200 points just by not having sex or masturbating. That's fucking nonsense. And you know what? Even if you did lose gains, why would you give up sex? Like, why the fuck? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? So I would say keep doing what you got to do. If you have a high libido, own that shit. And also recognize that in many cases, high libido could be a sign of high test. So maybe you already have high test. So don't worry about it, right? The only thing you should be concerned about is if you're doing it too often to the point where you're lazy, unmotivated, and you feel tired from doing it. In that case, I would say cool back a little bit. But other than that, shouldn't be an issue, my man. Next question. I've just bought some minoxidil myself. When applying minoxidil, do you have to trace the shape of how you want your beard to look? Or do you just do it in the general area and then it will come out looking normal? Yeah, you apply it all over the face. You apply some to your mustache, you put it to the connectors, the underlip, okay, under the neck all around, and then the cheeks. You just apply it to the whole beard, and it's just gonna come out the way that your hair follicles are structured, okay? If you have the genes to do it, minoxidil is gonna work. If not, you're not gonna grow anything. Like, you see how I have bald spots right in the middle here? I've been applying minoxidil there for a long time. Like, for the first 3 to 4 months, I didn't put it there. But after that, I said, okay, fuck it. A complete beard requires this area. So I started applying it. And it's not really improving that much. It has improved towards the bottom and a little bit towards the connectors. But right here, I guess it's the Mediterranean beard that I have. This is what my beard looks like. It's full on the sides, okay? I have a nice full mustache. And the connectors they're coming in now, okay? But right here, it does not grow that much. That's because of your genetics, okay? So you just apply it throughout the entire area, and your genes will determine what becomes very prominent in a sense. But guess what? You can actually shape it too, even though minoxidil is systematically absorbed through the bloodstream, which means that even if you apply it here, it's still going to radiate a little bit to the side, just saying. So you can try to isolate it to reduce some of the effects. Like if you don't want to do it on your mustache, you can just put it on the sides. That should work. Or if you just want connector, you can put on connector. Should be fine. But there is a little bit of a risk that it's going to translate to other areas too, since it's throughout the entire bloodstream. But yeah, you don't have to do like a beard lineup when you're doing it. Nah, you put it all up in your beard and you're good to go. Next question. My friend said minoxidil reduces collagen and as a result makes your skin age. Is this what you've encountered? How grounded are these claims? I think they're very true, to be honest with you. And yeah, it does. It does reduce collagen. That's why guys who get with a derma roller, they experience more gains and they end up looking younger when on minox. Now, based off my experience, that shit gave me dark circles under my eyes. When I had that big beard going on, look at my eyes. It was looking really bad. Okay, my eyes were getting really, really dark over here. And I still have it today. I'm still on minoxidil, but many times I skip it. So this is what I'm working with, you see? But yeah, I definitely got dark circles under my eyes. Like it got much, much worse when I was on minox compared to pre-minox. And also a bit of wrinkles, like a bit of wrinkles under the eyes and maybe towards the nose. So yeah, my skin did age from using that shit. It absolutely aged. And whenever I back off from it a little bit, my face starts looking better and younger. Now, what you can do to prevent this is take like a collagen boosting supplement. You know, you could like rub oils on your face that have like this special collagen mixtures and stuff. Or you can derma roll, which is like a micro needling thing. A lot of Hollywood actresses and actors use this, where you grab it and you fucking, you rub out your skin with needles. And that will create little punctures, and then it will cause your skin to come out more fresh. And that's what I've been doing. I do the entire beard. I do here to try to get more connector. I do under my neck. I do the cheeks. I even do over here now, under my eyes, which doesn't really hurt. And if you have acne, that can help as well. Like it can help take it out. But yeah, minoxidil, based off my experience, again, this doesn't happen to everybody. It does age the face because it reduces collagen in the fucking face, So yeah, next question and last question of the week. Why have you been dressing differently in your recent videos? Well, folks, the truth is that I've always dressed like this. I've been dressing like this since about 2012, right? That's when I really started getting into like the self-improvement hardcore, right? The thing is, I just didn't wear these types of clothes in my videos because I like my, my tanks, my white tanks, my wife beaters, if you call them. That's kind of like my signature Alpha Destiny look. But, sometimes when you're filming the same shit all the time, like against this white wall, like, you want to dress differently. Like imagine you go on a thumbnail, you just see the same guy with a wife beard all the time, Sometimes it's good to just mix it up, like outfit-wise, But yeah, I've always been dressing like this. Like the dog tags, I've been doing that since 2012. Like whenever I go out in public, I'm always wearing some type of chain, always, Sometimes I wear a ring as well. I wear a ring, a bracelet, a watch. I got some stylish shoes as well. Like those beat up ones that you see, that's only for the gym, So if you see me in public, I'm going to look a lot different than when I'm making these videos, like my older videos, or if I'm in the gym. Like when I'm in the gym, I don't give a fuck what I'm wearing. I'm just there to be comfortable. So I'm going to wear like baggy ass pants, ripped tank tops, all this stuff. But that's not how I dress like in public. In public, I pay very close attention to what I'm looking like, because appearance is very important. The world does judge your looks, contrary to what people think. Looks do fucking matter. And if you want people to respect you, like physical wise, you have to present yourself in a respectable way, And I know some guys think that my dressing style is a bit trashy, but listen, bro, I'm from the East End, Montreal. If you come over here, it's not, posh, if you will, right? It's very ghetto over here. I'm very close to Montreal North as well. That's the most ghetto place in fucking Montreal. There's lots and lots of gangs there, lots of shootings, lots of drug dealers. Like it's fucking hardcore up in Montreal North. And I'm really close to there, So for me, like, this is the environment I grew up with. And I like to wear these types of clothes. I like dog tags. I like, certain types of things. And that's just what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm a real guy as well. Like, you're not going to get any fake shit when you watch my videos. I always keep it 100. I always expose the truth for what it is. And I think you guys respect that. I think you guys appreciate someone who's going to tell you the real game. Give you that life-changing stuff, So, yeah, I've always been dressing like this since about 2012. I just haven't been doing it on videos recently, But, maybe I'll go back to the regular style. I've just been playing around, having some fun. But, yeah, I do recognize that I dress much differently when I go out in public compared to when I'm filming videos in the gym or just in front of this camera. So, with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me your more questions down below. And with that said, I will talk to you all next week.